Hey everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, the world's greatest podcast ever. And we have a fantastic show for you as usual. We're going to be talking a little levy, and we have some special guests after that. But first, you know how we do it. We're starting out with useless trivia, and I'll go first this time, Doug, because I'll tell you what. I was watching Netflix.
Okay.
And there was an ad for...
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Not yet, but we'll take it if they want. There was an ad for a new 4-part documentary on dinosaurs, and it really got me down the rabbit hole of dinosaurs. And that brings up this week's useless trivia, which is, Doug, did you know that some dinosaurs had more than 500 teeth?
I did not. How many is some?
Well, at least one, the Nigersaurus, had around 500 replaceable teeth arranged in rows like a prehistoric lawnmower.
The Nigersaurus, is that possibly in the Niger region of Africa where they found this?
I'm not a dinosaur guy, Doug. I didn't look up that much.
Well, what's your source on this? The World Wide Web again?
Please hold. Well, my source for that one, it's all over the internet, but I'm going to use the University of Chicago's paleontology website because they're pretty smart over there.
Well, I love it. And while you were looking that up, I looked up that these fossils were indeed found in the desert region of the Republic of Niger in West Africa.
Well, there you have it. Full circle.
I'm very smart. I'm just going to put that out there.
Sure. Well, there's mine, Douglas. What sort of useless nonsense did you bring to the table this week?
Well, my bit of useless trivia this week is also historical, not as buried in history as yours. Fossil pun.
There you go.
Put it on the big board. Mine goes back to April 1865, and this is in the aftermath of the death of one Abraham Lincoln. Of course, his killer was, as everyone knows, John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes had a brother, Edwin Booth, who was also an actor. And after the assassination, Mr. Edwin Booth was getting onto a train car, and a man beside him slipped, almost falling beneath the wheels to his death. And Edwin saved him. The man he saved was Robert Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's son. So my bit of useless trivia is the brother of John Wilkes Booth saved the life of Abraham Lincoln's son.
That is a wild piece of trivia. I can't believe that's not common knowledge. It's so interesting. I think you're lying. What's your source on that?
Well, this started on Reddit, as most things do for me these days, and I tracked it down to actually the Library of Congress, who had the Cleveland Morning Leader newspaper news story from April 1865. So I went right to the source, and pretty amazing piece of trivia.
That is a piece of trivia, and it is amazing. But let's move on to the real important thing this week. Doug, let's talk some levy.
Absolutely. The election for our 2 replacement levies was last Tuesday. The results came out at about 54%, and then were updated the next day as they counted more mail-in ballots and those ballots from the drop boxes. So that brought up to about 56% is where we're at on both levies. Of course, levies in Washington State require 50% plus 1 vote to pass. So it is looking great right now. The election will be finalized this Friday on February 20th.
Yes, it certainly is looking great, and that is all thanks to our voters. And these replacement levies will keep the train on tracks and ensure that our kids have ample opportunities to learn and grow. And during the campaign, we did get a fair amount of questions about our budget, didn't we, Doug?
We did, and contrary to what some people might believe or at least say on the social medias, there are no secrets when it comes to how the district spends its money. It is public information, and you can actually go line by line on our website. Just Google the F-195.
That's a heck of a truck.
It is for sure, I guess. It's also a 187-page budget report. Like I said, there are no secrets here. We are a public institution, and you can go check that out.
Yes, you can. And being a public institution here in Washington, we are audited every single year. School Board President Marcus Young brought that up during a recent budget discussion at our school board meeting.
We're currently under audit by the state of Washington, which they do every year. I'm saying that out loud because some sectors of our community don't know and understand that there's checks and balances within the state. I did have an opportunity to talk to that auditor that is auditing us right now, and nothing but great rave reviews on how they our not only cooperation from our human resource and from our finance department, but also just the way when information is requested, there's no hesitation on it being given up. And so I wanted to give those kudos out loud because oftentimes that's not an item within the report that's shared.
Now, the audit is one thing, but our financial stewardship here in Bethel has been key as we have seen many other districts facing very tough times. We are facing the same tough times here in Bethel, but Superintendent Lowney said behind the scenes, Bethel is doing things well.
In Bethel, we're having the financial difficulties that everybody around us is having, but we're not in financial meltdown like some of the districts really close to us are having. And that's because of some good stewardship in the past. I would love to even take credit for that, but I can't. But we've taken really good care, and that includes all of our employee groups. That includes the folks that are leading. Everybody's been a part of good stewardship of money.
So that's the good news. The sky isn't falling here in Bethel, especially with our replacement levies on track to pass. So great news, especially for our students.
And we are super excited to have students like Marcus Soapy from Bethel High School now sitting on our school board as student representatives. Last week, he spoke to the board about a number of things going on at Bethel High, including how students were feeling about our grading system, which is called standard-based instruction and grading.
Students found it easier to understand what they were getting graded on. For example, they could see what standards they did well in and the ones they could improve on. When students know what they're being graded on, they feel they can take action to get better in specific skills and feel more control of their learning, instead of worrying about the overall grade. However, students often prioritize summative assessments over formative activities. Creating more awareness about the value of formative work could help students take advantage of the opportunities to improve their learning before major tests or projects.
He also talked about the impact teachers are having on students and vice versa.
Bethel High School prioritizes student mental health through counseling services and advisory periods, giving students time to connect with teachers and peers. Student-teacher relationships are strong, though we all know there's always room to grow. We're also exploring ways to expand wellness resources and peer support programs to better meet the student needs.
And finally, Soapy gave an update on some levy-funded activities, everything from after-school clubs to athletics.
7 of our athletes signed to play at the college level so far this year. 6 wrestlers qualified to state, and our unified basketball team also made it to state. Beyond athletics, students are engaging in a variety of clubs. Our leadership program, which gets students highly involved in creating events, assemblies, spirit weeks, and more, and community service projects. Whether it's performing in drama club, participating in other clubs, or contributing to a local volunteer efforts, our students are finding ways to make an impact and build skills both inside and outside the classroom.
Well, we can't thank you enough, voters, for supporting our levy renewals. And now let's meet this week's special guests.
Well, our very special guests this week are Zanaya Garner and Liz Strissel, both of them from Cedar Crest Middle School, and they work together 2 classes a day. Zanaya is an instructional para, and Liz is a humanities teacher and has been so for 3 years here now at Cedar Crest. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz, what drew you to education in the first place, and more specifically, what motivated you to become a teacher?
What really made it solid for me, yep, I'm going to be a teacher, was in 6th grade. I attended Spanaway Elementary. I grew up in Bethel.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I went to Spanaway Elementary. I went to Spanaway Junior High. I graduated from Spanaway Lake High School. And in 6th grade, I had a teacher, Mr. Elliott, and he made learning so much fun. He had us, I remember one time, we had a giant, U shape for all the desks in the class, and he just really made it fun. We all had nicknames, and we'd do, little class parties, and we'd watch movies, and, all while, learning too, but, he just made it fun. And so I really was wow, this would kind of be a fun job. I kind of want to do this. And so since 6th grade, I had been wanting to teach. And so, I was on a path, kind of life happened. But then, got right back at it. And so now I'm on my 3rd year of teaching.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
And it's interestingly enough, Zanaya, you're also a Bethel kid. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your experience was like in Bethel and how that might have inspired you to get back in the classroom?
Yes, I went to Pioneer Valley Elementary, then I went to Liberty Middle School, junior high at the time, and then I went to Spinola Lake High School, and I graduated from there also. I had a teacher at Spinola Lake, her name was Miss Peterson, and she was my CWI teacher and then my civics teacher, and she changed my whole aspect on how I viewed teachers. I always gave that respect to them, but I didn't know how close of a relationship I could actually have with one, and it actually impacted my life. With that, I always was like, okay, I want to work with kids, and so that's what made me apply to be a para.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, Liz, I'm sure you've been in classrooms that don't have paras. Can you tell us why it's so important to have paras, and not just any paras, but talented paras like you have now with Zanaya inside your classroom?
Before I became a full-time classroom teacher, I substitute taught. And if I walked into a room that was like a co-teach or a special education class or what have you, and not having the teacher there and having to read the subplans, but having a para there who knows what they're doing and knows the kids well and can be like, hey, this is what we're doing. I have a good relationship with these students. You know, we're going to work with them. And then if you can work with these students, they really just... They know what they're doing, and they really help to run a strong classroom, which it's so important that we have paras who, really love education. They love being with kids. They really love helping them meet their goals, whether they're behavior, academic, personal, what have you. But having someone in here who genuinely cares about the kids to help them grow, it's a really important job, and I just feel like it doesn't get enough limelight because of how important it is.
Well, paraeducators are a really important job across our district, and we have a hiring event coming up for them. It's on March 26th, and be sure and check out our website, bethelsd.org, where you can find more information about where and when that is. But March 26th, mark your calendars. Zanaya, you appear to be a para that loves their job. What would you say to folks that are thinking about getting into the profession?
I definitely feel like if you're in the field of wanting to impact children and better their understanding or their abilities or their growth or their development, then this is definitely a job for you. And then also just giving back to your community. I think that's a big one. I think that's why I chose Bethel School District. And I think Bethel School District also does take care of their employees, and we're appreciated. And I think that matters in a job that you want to be in.
I love that. And for both of you, what's just a moment in the classroom that's brought you joy recently?
For me, just my short time of being here, that's brought me joy is the relationships I've built. A lot of these teachers have, or even administrators have talked to me, and then they'll say something that happened 2 to 3 years ago, and I'm like, I wasn't here, and they're like, you make me feel like you've been here for so long. And I think that makes me feel good that I kind of integrated myself into kind of this family dynamic, and I make them feel like I've been here for so long, so it makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
How about you, Liz?
What I love is when the kids see that she comes in the room, and we always hear, Missy,
Yes,
Missy. And I love that, because that just shows how much of an impact that Zanaya has on the class, that they are genuinely excited. The joy that when you come in and they just that, Missy, I can think of a few of our kiddos off the top of my head who you'll come in and they'll go right to her and be like, hi, how are you? And it's just they love you. And so seeing that they feel so comfortable in this space that they are following expectations, but I don't mind that they get up and go say hi to her, because that just shows me that they feel safe with her, which is crucial. And then they also feel good in the space, where they feel like it's a safe enough space where I can get up out of my seat for a second and go say hi to my favorite teacher or person, and whatever that title may be, and greet them. So that's kind of like today when you came in, they're like, Missy. So yeah, that's kind of one of my favorite moments.
I should have said that.
Taking back my original answer.
It's a bucket filler.
That's fantastic. Well, this has been a great conversation. Zanaya Garner and Liz Strissel, thank you both so much for joining us. You're doing amazing things over here at Cedar Crest.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again to our special guest this week. And of course, thank you again to all of our voters. Be on the lookout for the final tally of those ballots this Friday, February 20th, as the election is finalized and certified. And we will certifiably be back here next week.